Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Reinsurance Podcast. I'm your co-host, Jerad Lee.
And I'm Ben Rose, here together bringing you our Reinsurance News Roundup.
Oh, I hope this one had jingle bells playing and sleigh bells as it introduced.
Well, for those of you watching the video version of the podcast, you'll get to admire my fabulous Christmas jumper.
It is a fabulous Christmas jumper.
And Jared's total lack of effort.
It's supposed to be a short episode, but I would spend the entire time talking about this jumper. We would revert back to the jumper stories of yore. Yore?
Of lore?
What is lore? No, what is the... Aggressive deviation from the plan today. But as we ease into the last few days of the year, we wanted to touch a little bit about sort of what we're seeing in the market for this 1/1, which is one of the more chaotic 1/1s in memory. But in this very short recap, don't be distressed if we don't dive into your favorite part of the season. There will be a special episode in January with our Tom Spire to talk about a full recap from our perspective of what we see. So watch the space for that episode.
I'm looking forward to talking to our Tom Spire. I like the way you described it.
But a few things in the news coming out right now. One was from Goldman Sachs, this sort of conversation that U.S. CAT is seeing upwards of 50% rate increase.
Doesn't surprise me, to be honest, at this point.
Ouch, though, right?
Yes, but it's been a long time coming, and I think you've seen quotes from various brokers, saying, well, there's no real justification for this, or people are being opportunistic and so on. But reinsurers don't really have to try very hard to point at why this year is different to previous years, right? I mean, a lot of them are claiming climate change, which feels maybe a bit late to the party because that's not happened overnight. But, I mean, post-pandemic, war, most fundamental change to economics we've seen on the sort of monetary policy
capacity
side.
Being not available to the very end, so they're sitting there going, we can take it, but if they take it on balance sheet, the price looks different than if taking it with retro support out the back.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, the other thing they point out in their article is a portion of these deals, a decent portion of these deals, won't get resolved until the middle of Jan or early part of Jan. So again, a painful part for the industry to have to sort of technically be on risk without contracts being all finalized. So deals will still get done, but there's a lot of uncertainty as those things are kind of coming to pass.
I think it's a brilliant moment to be sat on the capital all the same. So, a lot of people in our market with delegated underwriting operations will face that cost of capital burden directly, whether they've been getting that capacity from or that capital from reinsurers or from collateralized markets, ILS, etc. Those are the folks I think that are going to be struggling the most to get that on the terms they want. On the other hand, I think one of the other pieces of news we wanted to discuss with the profit sort of signaling coming out of the big European reinsurers like Munich Re, for example. Yeah,
so Munich Re's pointing out that their loss ratio, or their combined ratio, is going to drop below 86%.
Not bad going.
Not bad going at all. And then Ergo, sort of a subsidiary of Munich, is also sub 90, like 80, 88, 89%. So, yeah, I think those are obviously inextricably linked, those two, the rise in prices and the profits of the big reinsurers. But again, long time coming, as they've been pushed up into the high 90s or 100% for the last several years. So,
and I think it's super interesting against the context of, flight of capital. This is an industry that isn't making enough of a return on its cost of capital for a class of 22, 23 to emerge and jump in where there's an absence of capital. And yet those that are really positioned well are able to harvest the fruits of longevity, I guess, and having been here for a long time, doing what they do. And even in a year that features Hurricane Ian, being able to put out, the signals that a major profit is on the way is pretty tremendous.
Yeah, well, and it's going to help attract additional capital back into the space a little bit as it dries up elsewhere. But in addition to a push on rate, we're also getting a lot of feedback from the market that terms are being pushed back on. They're pulling out and shortening hours clauses. They're trying to reduce again the number of sort of perils that they want to do, the multi-peril covers and these types of things. So all of the little gains the brokers pushed the last number of years, the reinsurers are seeing this as saying, well, we can stay more stable on pure price, but you've got to give us back some of these terms. the negotiating power has really shifted in the favor of the reinsurers, and they're looking to sort of reset the expectation of the industry a bit, which again I think is fair for them.
Indeed. And we also have today some technology news. One good story, one less good story. Maybe that's a bit unfair. One general story about technology in general, and then also an insurance-specific technology update.
Yeah.
Which one would you like to take, Jerad?
Your favorite one.
Go on then.
ChatGPT.
All right, we'll start with that. Everybody, I think, across LinkedIn and beyond has been exchanging stories of the magical AI capabilities of a new, well, not really that new, I guess, but a newly launched solution called ChatGPT. It's come out of something initially as part of a sort of working group that Elon Musk, I think, was a part of, and as fortunately for it, perhaps, long since distanced himself from. But
the success.
Yeah, but this service effectively allows you to instruct an AI to write pretty much whatever you would like it to write in terms of structure and content, and to leverage vast amounts of data from the public internet in order to answer queries, argue cases, write you poetry, tell jokes.
So interesting.
It's very impressive. And it's come out around the same time, I think, as a lot of like image creation softwares, video creation softwares have also been, really ramping up in competition to replace traditional content creators.
It's going to transform so much of how we create imagery and art. And I've even seen stories of retailers using computer generated imagery to, instead of models and paying models to do it. Like it's going to change a lot. But the one thing that I thought was so impressive was there was some pieces that were written where they told it to write this story, but in Shakespearean English. And it's written perfect. Like it's profound how good it is to like even ingest the tone, or you have it write it like a 7-year-old would write it, and it has this sort of tone and voice of a child. Like it's phenomenal how impressive this technology is.
I guess the big question for us here on the Reinsurance podcast is how long will it take for technology like this to permeate our traditional reinsurance tasks? And so, will we have ChatGPT writing emails out for us, publishing the narratives on reinsurance submission packs, and beyond, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked before, but even adding things like clause wording, like write a clause that introduces sanctions to this geography, and like they have the library of other clauses that you have in your database, and like that kind of stuff will be transformative.
I'm confident that we're at the peak of the hype curve.
Oh yeah,
all the same. So there will be a trough of disillusionment on its way soon as anybody tries to.
So hold on to the roller coaster drop.
But it's very exciting, and we always overestimate what will happen in the next 2 years and underestimate what will happen in the next 10. So let's wait and see.
Oh, was that, speaking of under-delivering, a lead-in to the next story?
Meanwhile, in our own industry,
we got an announcement more recently that the new PPL, next gen PPL, is coming out in February, which for the London market is something people are familiar with. Elsewhere in the world, it's the London market's electronic trading platform. Twice delayed and everything else, but this is apparently now going to be live in February 2023.
And delivering most of the features of the old PPL.
Delivering most of the features of the existing PPL. So a lot of time and delay around most of the existing functionality, but a bit prettier. Further down in the article, you realize it says that this is Next Gen 1.0. Next Gen 2.0 comes out in the summer of 2023, which will be the one that has APIs and maybe all the existing functionality. So well over a year behind schedule and everything else, but they're chipping away.
They are chipping away, and I do feel for everybody working on these initiatives, because the London market is a very difficult group to rally together, and to get all facing in a similar direction, let alone the same direction. So that
would be analogy Battle City if we went into
exactly
how we try to do that.
So the fact that they're building stuff and getting stuff shipped is a huge testament to the work that they're doing. But I know that they share, as unfortunately lots of the market do, the frustration of the fact that it is so hard to get ubiquitous technology for all of sort of the London market together,
Yeah.
complete with Londonisms.
Well,
thankfully, we're in the space of reinsurance,
Yeah.
so we can sort of chart our own path for
Yeah.
for our reinsurance clientele.
I
But
think
it
it's
is tough.
I think it's hard because if you compare it to like the ChatGPT sort of cycle, it's very easy to get a bunch of individuals really excited about new tech for personal reasons or whatever else, but trying to convince them of the excitement of new technology when they've got their work hats on, like everything changes. And PPL has been bravely soldiering against that headwind for a long time and making progress. But so we'll update more as we get into the new year around what that looks like and how it's coming together. But one for us to keep watching for sure.
Indeed. And we know you're all busy, and we hope that you all make it through the next week, I guess, up until the 1st of January and perhaps a little bit beyond. We'll be on your side throughout and cheering you on as you get those final bits of contracts closed and agreed. But until we see you on the other side, Merry Christmas.
And a happy forthcoming new year.
Yeah. I hope 2023 brings you all of the reinsurance technology you've been dreaming of.
Thanks, everyone.